Welcome back to True Sound Radio. On today's episode, we are speaking with local up-and-coming DJ Nicard0. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on the show. So what inspired you to pursue music? Was there anything in particular?
Honestly, it was my very first concert. Seeing how the music took over everybody's energy was something very eye-opening to me. To be more specific, it was Faded 2016, if anybody's familiar with that event. It was a phenomenal event. Seeing everybody dancing to some DJs playing pause was really cool to see. And it inspired me to a whole new level. And I didn't even make music before that festival. So honestly, it pushed me to start making music, and here I am today.
Do you have any background in, did you ever play any instruments, or did you ever, did you listen to a lot of music before that? What was your background in terms of musical training?
Yeah. So, honestly, I didn't have too much background in music before pursuing this. The only thing that I was really kind of getting good at was my guitar playing, which I got into in 8th grade. My dad really liked the guitar, so I got into it for him so I could learn a few songs. And it's been really cool to incorporate that into my music today. So I'm really thankful to have made that first step a long time ago.
Yeah, that's great. So what's your favorite, do you have a favorite guitar piece or guitarist that you sort of really admire?
Honestly, my dad, he's this really big fan of this Spanish guitarist. His name's starts with a G, so it's really bad that I don't remember it. But
okay.
Honestly, what matters is his favorite guitar is the Spanish Classico, which is the one that I have. So
nice. Very cool.
That's my favorite top pick.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah. So because you weren't really making music prior to 2016, could you describe what is some of the challenges of navigating songwriting? How do you overcome those things if you don't have, since you haven't had as much training, as perhaps before that you had some guitar training, which might help you out, but what are some of the challenges?
Honestly, even in 9th and 10th grade, I was really into poetry for some reason. And I don't know, just sometimes making certain sentences that make you think about the deeper meaning has always been something that I've been really fond of. And I tried to incorporate that as much as I could to my music today. And honestly, it's way harder than I ever thought it would be. Writing music is by far so much harder than producing music, than engineering music, and mixing it together. Yeah, writing it is the real deal. And honestly, it's been a huge challenge trying to get things to make sense, to kind of get the story flowing, but also have a deeper meaning in it, because that's what I always want to have in my songs. So I think writing has definitely been one of the bigger challenges, but it's also been really fun to be able to write with artists and kind of brainstorm. So that's always fun.
Yeah, actually, speaking of that, you recently collaborated with Isabel Hombre, the vocalist. What was it like collaborating with her, since you brought that up? And can we expect more of that kind of a track? It's kind of like a festival vibe track. So can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, it was honestly so amazing working with Isabel. This was during the pandemic, so we were FaceTiming each other. We were trying to get something going. And since it was peak pandemic, we couldn't really see each other. So what I ended up doing was dropping off my microphone to her house in front of her doorstep so that she can record it in her own room and kind of be in her own space. And, and which is totally understandable. And it's what I wanted for her. But it did make things a little rocky at first. But then once we got down to what type of melody we wanted to go for the lyrics, then we went into, okay, now what type of words should we put in? That's how I go about with my songwriting. Is first I get the melody lyrics first on how the melody should sound for the wording, and then I put the words in after. So that's how we executed this track, Forever. Yeah, and let's see if I can remember some of the lyrics. So, it's getting hard to breathe. You're next to me. So, Forever, that song was based off of the idea of something being timeless, say for like a relationship or something that might affect you long term. Leading into the drop, the lyrics, please don't hurt me, please don't kill me, because baby, if you hold me, it's forever now. So meaning that whatever you're doing in that certain time, if you commit to it in that very moment, it's going to affect you way into the future.
Yeah, I can see how that is sort of holds a deeper meaning. Like on one hand, you could take it very literally, and sort of make it about any relationship. And on the other hand, you could also look for something deeper in it if you're looking for that as a listener. So I think that's really versatile in that sense. It could appeal to a lot of different kinds of listeners.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what you like to go for, but that's certainly what I got out of that. So are there any other collaborations on the table coming up in the future? Could you talk about that? Whatever you're allowed to talk about. I know there's some rules sometimes about that stuff. So
yeah, definitely. Between me and Isabel.
Between you and anyone, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. So honestly, me and Isabel have another song coming out. We're trying to finish that. It's called Free Spirit. It's about just living your life without any limitations. That's the basic message behind that song. And honestly, the project file got corrupt. So right now I'm in the process of remaking the beat. So you will expect another Isabel collab for sure. That's for sure. Super talented artist. It would be super dumb not to work with her again. Honestly, she was super talented. So yeah, shout out Isabel. And I also do have another track. It is called First Memory. And this is the one track that I'm super excited for, which is releasing next month. That is a collaboration that I've been really working hard for what it seems to be 2 years. So it's been a while.
Wow. That's a long time to be working on something.
Yeah.
It must be pretty great.
It's a really good feeling to get it done. Honestly, me and the artist, we were really on and off with the song. Some of us were just busy at some times. We couldn't really commit to finishing some parts. And the main reason why we took so long with the song is, for me personally, I wanted to create something that was that could be timeless. You know, there's certain songs that we listen to nowadays that are 30 years old that we will still get down to, and that for me is just the best feeling. So that's what I really wanted to work on for the song, making sure it had that nostalgic feeling, and and I really think I hit that. So I'm really excited for this one.
You've mentioned the timelessness a couple of times already in the conversation. So I'm wondering, like, are there criteria for you that make something timeless, or like, is it just sort of a feeling that you get from a track when you're writing it?
Honestly, like, I want to be able to have the same feeling that I had when I listened to that same song, if I haven't listened to it in a very long time, you know? When you listen to a song that you haven't heard in a very long time, sometimes it does such a beautiful thing to you, like bring back a memory from a certain time that you listen to that song. That's what I want to try to give it to these people. They hear it for the first time in 2021, and then maybe 2025, they think of something really cool when they first listen to that song. And that's what I really mean by timeless, is kind of just bringing back that good feeling.
Yeah, there's definitely, like, one of the tracks that remind me of that is Don't You Worry, Child. That one always, every time I listen to it, doesn't matter how long ago it was. I was like, that's a great track. I definitely agree with you that there's certain tracks, and sometimes things are great for like a few months, and then after you're like, you know. That will always happen. And I think with everything being so fast-paced and with artists having to release all the time, that can sort of fall to the wayside. Like, it's not as important anymore to make something that lasts. But so that's really cool. That's cool. Let's change like directions a little here. I'd like to know like what you think your greatest skill is as a producer or DJ. Either one is
what is my greatest skill as a producer or DJ? Honestly, this is something that I've always been really proud of. Whenever I go do shows, whenever I do any type of performance, I always try to give maximum energy. I always try to, whenever I'm performing, I try to do the craziest things that I could think of, because my goal is to try to make the people remember about the good night, you know what I mean? So for example, for Faded, I performed with Eric Reprid for his set. He was fortunate enough to let me play a couple EDM songs, and during those EDM songs, I checkmarked one of my bucket lists, and I climbed on that fucking table, and I grabbed the microphone, and I screamed as loud as I can, 1, 2, 3, to give everybody the same feeling that I had right on that moment, and just kind of get everybody in sync together. Because, I've been going to concerts for as long as, since like 2016, my first concert. And the best performances that I always remember will always be the ones that have done the most outstanding stuff, you know? So, that's what I really look into when I go into performing and stuff. I always try to give my 110% with my energy, with talking to the mic, engaging with the crowd, all that stuff.
Okay, that's interesting, because I think there are two schools of thought on, DJ performance, right? And I think showmanship is one of them, like Stevie Aoki style.
Yeah.
Stuff that's like really high energy, or some of the guys have like a hype man. So you're saying you're your own hype man is kind of what you're,
Exactly.
Cool. Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So what is something you're always striving to improve in terms of either your production or your DJ skills? What is something you're working on?
One thing that I think I could really, that I'm always trying to work on, that I'm always trying to make sure that I have my 100% focus on is my, I guess like trying to like connect with people in certain situations, because I have heard that relationships can make a difference for the better, especially in this industry. So ever since the pandemic, I've always tried to include myself into as many like in-person activities as I can. So to make some friends, to meet people, you never know who you can meet that can maybe help you out in the future, and maybe I could help them in the future, So that's what I always look into whenever I go to events, parties, clubs. I'm honestly not there to party. I'm more there to try to talk with maybe the managers, promoters, all that stuff. And my confidence has really been at a minimal before the pandemic. So now I feel like I really came out of my shell after the pandemic. So I'm really happy with myself about that. But I still got some to go. So that's something that I'm still always working on.
Yeah, I think it's definitely tough sometimes to put yourself out there and try and make connections with people when they don't know you, especially in such a small scene where people already know each other. Yeah. It's definitely, it can be intimidating, particularly if you're not like a super outgoing person, which not all artists are. Sometimes they're pretty introverted. So I totally understand that feeling. I get it. That's good for you for trying to get outside and like get outside your comfort zone. That's a really good thing to do.
Awesome.
So who are some of your musical influences? You mentioned going in 2016 to Faded. Was it a particular artist that swayed you? Or have you developed some since then that you're really looking to sort of be inspired by?
Yes. Honestly, it has to go down to Skrillex and Diplo, Jack U.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Phenomenal group. It's something about that show that will always just give me chills. Just one word, just trap music. I don't know, just my taste in music has always jumped around to different genres like progressive house, future bass, dubstep. I've loved every single genre, honestly, and I have such a like good feeling for all of them, and they're all amazing. But something about trap music that has lived with me forever. Artists like Skrillex, like Diplo, they put their own twist into that group. Another good artist that I would like to shout out here from Vancouver, Jewels. He is a phenomenal trap artist, and he definitely sets the pave on what type of music I want to make and how what type of fan base I want to make. Because I saw his show the same Faded that I performed at, he literally performed right after us. And
wow.
Yeah, seeing that show was just so amazing. And yeah, it's definitely the type of music that I want to make in the future. Trap, wave trap.
Yeah, honestly, I used to have a radio show in Ontario, and I loved Joel's, and I've played him so many times. Just always a great track after great track coming out. So I think I agree, he's a great producer. So that would be such a cool experience to have to be playing before him. Did you get to like talk with him or anything? Like, did you have like a moment of like, nice to see ya?
Honestly, I'll tell you, my only interaction with them was trying to get our rider situation sorted out. So yeah, when I performed, Eric said, you have rights to a rider, so you can ask for any type of food, drink, any type of service that you need before the event. So then I asked for a mango Ciroc, and Joel.
Not always.
Yeah, Joel's had a Ciroc as well. So he got to the trailer. We were in the same trailer, and all of our stuff was just on the table. He was holding both Cirocs, trying to figure out, hey, which one's mine. So then I came up to him and be like, hey, brother, I think you got my Ciroc, man. So got that from him. Chatted up with them. Told you, hey, man, I love what you're doing. Trap Vancouver, man, it's amazing. And yeah, just, talked it out, had a good time. And then, then I had to go perform. So
that's cool. I've always thought of riders as really funny things, like all red M&Ms and like, two balloons with, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny, but it's just also, what you need before you perform. Everyone has their rituals. So
yeah, it's so funny because I saw a bucket of just blue gummies. And and it was in the section of and I could be wrong, but it was in Black Tiger Sex Machine section. So it could be their gummies. Could be one of theirs. I don't know. They got 3 members, so
they do, and maybe they just really love blue gummies. Like it's just a thing. They gotta have it. That's really funny, actually. That's great. Honestly, I think that stuff is so interesting. So I like whatever, power to them for asking for what they want. What's one major milestone that you'd like to reach in the next 5 years or sooner, and why? You mentioned like some of your bucket lists that's Faded. So like, what are some of your other ideas?
Honestly, number one goal that I've had since 2016, since I saw him for the very first time, was getting into Oro Grimes' record label. That is definitely the ultimate dream for me. Seeing his show in 2016, that show was just phenomenal. I've been a fan of Oro Grimes since that 2016 show. And ever since then, the record label Stable Valley has grown so much. And Joel's has just extended his contract there. So they're getting new members like every day. So one day I would love to push my music far enough to a label like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think getting representation on a big label like that is huge for an artist. So that's awesome. Is there anything that fans can look forward to in 2022? Are you doing any shows? Are you doing any festivals? Like, what can you tell us about your projects for the upcoming year?
Honestly, the only thing that I could think of is I'm in talks for a festival, but it is not in Vancouver. It is actually in Seattle.
Nice.
So all my Seattle people, next year I will see you around if you are trying to hang out.
Cool. That's exciting. Well, congratulations. I hope that all works out well, especially with sort of the challenges going on in live shows right now. So I think in Seattle it should be fine, but who knows about
We'll see.
For us here. Hopefully things go smoothly from here on out. Yes. So I guess was there anyone else you wanted to shout out?
Let's see. I would like to shout out the new artists that I'm gonna have on this new single. It's gonna be out next month. The kind of vibe that I got on this song, it's kind of like an Airplanes vibe. I have like a guy rapper, girl singer, really good chemistry between them, and it's kind of like the Airplanes vibe, but more of like a EDM twist at the end. So it's really interesting, and I'm really excited for this one. So shout out Nescon Global and Ekaterina, both artists for the song. I can't wait for everybody to hear it. It's gonna be amazing.
Sounds really exciting. We can't wait as well. We'll be looking forward to it here at True Sound for sure.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much for this. This was amazing.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate talking to you, and you gave lots of really interesting perspectives on the scene and on writing music. So I'm sure everyone will be really excited to hear about it.
Yes, no, I'm super excited. Yeah, and shout out True Sound, man. I can't wait for more to come. All right.